My name is Joe Otto, and I am the Deputy Project Director at Truterra for this Climate Smart Grant project that we are all on. I have been with Truterra for a little over 2 months, so I'm a little new to the company. I'm learning a lot from a lot of folks that have been around a little longer than me. My role here is to make sure that all of the project partners are moving forward with all the deliverables, all the activities in a coordinated manner. This is a very large, very complex project, and it requires just a lot of boots on the ground, a lot of people keeping spreadsheets, making sure that activities are happening at certain times, and then also processing invoices and all that thing. So I'm front end, I'm back end. I feel like I'm in every meeting. So it's nice to like jump down to like an actual like thing happening on the ground where people are excited about this project, because we have spent so much time building up a lot of back end infrastructure to make this project launch properly, and we like have just started the launch phase like about 2 weeks ago with some of the earliest parts of it. So like as we move into 24, it's going to be a very exciting year to like start doing things on the ground, because with such a large project that you have to build a lot of things behind the scenes before you can actually get anything going. So anyway, that's enough of a preamble. I want to tell you a little bit about the project. It was awarded last spring. Implementation is underway. The purpose of the project is to build markets for climate smart commodities and invest in America's climate smart producers to strengthen U.S. rural and agricultural economies. In accomplishing this task, we're going to be working with growers and their retailer partners. So the value add that Land O'Lakes and Truterra brings is this network of co-ops and other retailer partners that connect us to producers on the ground, potentially attracting middle adopters, shepherding them through the door of conservation adoption through their retailer partners, because retailers and producers have a very tight bond of trust when it comes to making business decisions about their farm operations. There's kind of 4 large buckets of stuff happening in this project, and that's what's on your screen right now. The first is conservation agronomist opportunities. So as I mentioned, the retailer network is pretty crucial for us. So we're not just throwing our retailers to the wolves and say, figure it out. There is funding built into this model here that allows our retailers to add an actual full-time position in conservation agronomy that they can design themselves based on their clients' needs to implement cover crops and no-till. So the 2 practices we're going after here, cover crops and no-till, on the ground in their service footprints. That is a core component of this project, to better equip retailers to delivering those climate smart commodity products and services to their farmer customers. And that's going to be happening with this, I call it the CA program, Conservation Agronomy Program. That's going to be rolling out in the spring of 2024. I've got a timeline farther down on the slide deck here to kind of give you an idea of like what the next year looks like. But that's one of the first things we're rolling out here. The second is the financial assistance program. So the first bit was for our retailer partners. The second bit is going to be for producers, for farmers. That is the financial assistance program. It will incentivize farmers by paying them to enroll their acres in the program. It's going to incentivize cover crops and no-till, or strip till, or both. If you want to do both, you can actually stack them together. And the overall goal of this program is to address one of the most common barriers to entry into this space, and that's cost. Truterra's approach to limiting participation in one field. So if you're new to the practice, you can come into this FA program and you can enroll 160 acres. So you can't just come in and say, I want to do everything. That's not feasible. You don't have the experience to just scale up across the board all at once. It's kind of, we're calling it like the try before you buy, return it if you want. Joking aside, 160 acres is what you can enroll in that middle adopter program, and it's unique and allows you to try it out before you go. So this approach allows them to try it out, one field, potentially get success, and then the results are proven, and then the farmer can work with their retailer partner to get seed and get application services, customized seeding if necessary, termination, what have you, when to terminate, get all that agronomic advice that they would get from the retailer anyway on this small plot, and then they can, in theory, adopt these practices on more acres across their operation. We're all chasing this elusive scaling up concept. We all think we've got the next thing. This one, I mean, it's large enough, it's complete enough, it's national enough that there's some real potential here. There is overall opportunity for 80,000 acres of FA programming that will be released in the coming years, and the financial assistance program participants can also participate in some of Truterra's commercial program offerings. So, and I know that sounds weird to say, I know that like in the nonprofit space, it's, do we talk about commercial? Truterra is a private company. And we have built this opportunity around our other existing commercial programs. So when we communicate out to our retailers in our network about, here's the USDA program, here is a commercial program, here's a carbon program. It's like one offering among many, and that is the value add that we brought to this project, is being able to kind of speak the retailer's language, talk to the co-ops, think about it as one among many services and products they're already offering. So that's like, I'm not just selling things here, but like that is part of the overall strategy, as packaging it as a product that can also be sold and delivered among the other things that co-ops are already doing. That's for farmers. Something else we're giving to the retailers, there's a funding pool of $2.5 million to incentivize soil health services that lead to the adoption of cover crops and reduced tillage. Retailers will describe their current service offerings and how they are adding funding to assist with those service offerings, and then finding ways to grow those services in like conservation agronomy space. And the anticipated release for that opportunity is in 2024. So there's an opportunity to get additional capacity to actually do the work, and then also some resources to develop the programmatic elements that would be executed as well. So and then in theory, that creates the new service adoption in retail that relates to scaling up regenerative ag, climate smart ag, whatever you want to call it. Being able to expand or create a service that reduces the cost barrier to the retailer and the farmer. And by reducing that sticker shock, it's possible to expand these practices to scale and drive change. The fourth bucket is the early adopter program, jumping back to farmer opportunities here. And this is something I really like about this project. So the financial assistance program is meant for people who have never tried this out, or are new to it, or want to try it on a new piece of their farm that they have not done it before. And just before I came to Truterra, I worked for the Soil and Water Conservation Society. So I am very familiar with like the conservation nonprofit space. And I'm now over here in the private sector trying to bridge this gap that we're all trying to bridge here. And, I've noticed that there's a little bit of tension between, okay, so now there's all these new financial opportunities for people who have not adopted yet to try. And all of a sudden there's all this extra funding available. And for the folks that have been doing it right all along, the question arises as well. It's kind of, I don't know, this is a bad metaphor, but it's like giving the answers to the person who didn't study for the test at the last minute and then they get an A or something. The metaphor falls apart the farther I go. But that's, there is a little bit of tension there. But we've accounted for that with this early adopter program. So the people who have been doing it right all along have an opportunity to enroll acres as well, up to $25 per acre, to enroll in a long-term study of the soil health benefits of having adopted these practices for the long term. And there is a partnership there. AFT is our key partner. There are two other partners I'm going to talk about later on, and we're doing this early adopter program with one of the other partners, which is the Soil Health Institute, which is a very high-profile nonprofit, as you know, based out of North Carolina. Does a lot of great work in the physical science space. So that's kind of the four buckets. Here's a more granular look at it. Here's the big overview. So the total federal budget was $90 million. To put that into perspective, this is part of the PCSC grant program that NRCS is running, and the PCSC is Partnership for Climate Smart Commodities. There was only one project that was funded with more than $90 million, and that was $95 million to NIFWF, to the National Fish and Wildlife Service. There were several projects funded at the $90 million level, but I say that just to say, this is a high-profile project in a high-profile NRCS program that is new, that involves about 150 different PCSC grantees. Very visible, very large opportunity for just getting the message out about soil health, about producing climate smart commodities, and just bringing new people into the fold here. So just saying that is, there's a great opportunity. This is truly the cutting edge of like public-private partnerships, conservation agronomy, so many exciting things happening in this one project that it's just really interesting to see how this is going to go. Very cool to be a part of it. 5 years long. It runs through spring of 2028. Effectively, the fall 2027 growing season is kind of like the cutoff point for any information gathering, reporting out, and what have you. Three major NGO is parlance in the private sector. We call them nonprofits in the nonprofit space. American Farmland Trust, Soil Health Institute, and of course the Federation of Southern Cooperatives. I swapped my C and my S around there. That's a mistake that I'll have to correct later on down the road. Those are our three main partners. It's going to impact 7.5 million acres of farmland, and the commodities produced on those acres are corn, soybeans, wheat, cotton, and dairy. So it touches several commodities, not all of them, but most of them. It touches most parts of the country. The goal is to engage 20,000 producers over this 5-year period, create 20 new conservation agronomy jobs in the ag retailer space, engage 7,000 historically underserved producers, hold regional trainings, and develop mentorships, which is something our great partners at AFT are going to be supporting us with all along the way, and then conducting that long-term soil health study. And then that statement at the bottom, if there's one takeaway here, this is the biggest, grandest 10,000-foot level idea that you can think about. This is there's an opportunity here to build this scaffolding around this public-private partnership where we have public funding, we have public will, we have expertise and guidance, and that's NRCS, that's AFT, that's all of the partners that AFT works with in the nonprofit space within their network. And then we have the private sector. We have Land O'Lakes, we have Truterra, we have all these co-ops in the Land O'Lakes network that are also working for this same goal. And if we can build this scaffolding, and there's no plan for it, that's what we're tasked to find out and do, build this scaffolding. At the end of 5 years, we pull that scaffolding away, the structure that we build holds up, and all of a sudden there is this bridge between public funding, public expertise, private sector access, networking, and efficiency that could have, there's this new permanent business model for delivering conservation at the end of this. So it really, we're talking lofty goals, but they are absolutely attainable and very exciting. So yeah, that scaffolding, that bridge, that public-private connection point is like the core element of this entire project, and that's why it's so exciting. Is we're bringing so many camps together to make this happen. Partners, of course, AFT is our largest partner. They're going to be doing the advanced soil health trainings, which I'm sure, I know we'll hear about that later on today. The soil health trainings, the peer mentoring, the micro grants to farmers for adoption, and then also engaging historically underserved producers through their regional leads. The Soil Health Institute is also in here as well. They're working on that early adopter soil health study. So at the end of this thing, they will have produced a peer-reviewed article that we will submit off to a peer-reviewed journal that will be studying like the benefits of, so this person adopted no-till, 8 to 10 years ago. How is that different than someone who adopted it, say, 1 year ago, or is doing it now, to really like set a benchmark for what are the true soil health benefits of early adoption. And then our third partner is the Federation of Southern Cooperatives. They are a African-American farmer-facing organization based in Atlanta. They have a very strong presence across the Southeast. They have state leads in every state from Georgia to Texas and possibly the Carolinas as well. I should have done my homework on that before I came in here today. So very wide coverage among African-American farmers in the Southeast. And they have a training center in North Alabama in the city of Epps. So we're very excited to engage with them as well in their network, in their service area. And then of course the funder, NRCS, the reason why we're all here doing these, they're bringing all of the grantees together. We are one of many, and I know AFT is involved on several of them. I want to say maybe 6 or 7 or 8. Somebody keep me honest on that in the room, but it's no surprise that AFT would be involved in a lot of these PCSC projects that NRCS is funding and being a part of that network as a leader. Here's the project area as it stands now. I kind of joke, it's kind of like a T-Mobile like coverage map for like 5G. It's like most everywhere, but not quite everywhere. And I know everyone's looking over here right now. I can just feel it in the room that this piece right here in eastern New York, excuse me, and also we've got Vermont, we've got New Hampshire, we've got Eastern Mass and Connecticut and Rhode Island. The reason why this map looks the way it does is because very early on in the project, this was a mashed up conglomeration of all of our retailer service footprints put together. And unfortunately, our closest retailer to, New England and New York is down here on the Maryland-Pennsylvania border. So our reach was limited there. We can deliver technical assistance anywhere in the white. It's no problem. We have explicit approval from NRCS to do that. unfortunately, until I get an amendment, which I am working on and I will get, FA is not allowed in Eastern New York. And I can tell you that I am going to do everything in my power to make it possible that this little spot in New York and these spots in New England turn this different color, and we can deliver FA across all this as well. Because I know that's going to mean a lot to you. I know it means a lot to Aaron and Bianca and Beth and everyone else at AFT, that we can make sure that we can get equitable access in New England and New York for the FA. I'm working on that now, but if you're asking me today, unfortunately, Eastern New York, no FA right now, but I will fix that, and I will do everything I can to make it happen as soon as possible. And I'm happy to answer questions about that too, if you have questions about this at the end. Here's kind of a breakdown of the funding going out the door. Our early adopter makes up about a little under half of the pie chart. That's for the farmers. The first time adopter incentives, so that's the folks on the 160 acres, about a quarter of it. And then there's a few other little breakdowns. Retailers are getting about $8.5 million for their conservation agronomist positions, and then also for developing those conservation agronomy services. And then we have a chunk for dairy as well. Land O'Lakes is originally a dairy cooperative. It just celebrated its 100th anniversary, I think, in 2021. So it's not surprising that we would be accessing our dairy producer network as well. And then the demo plots, I believe, are also for the retailers to do answer plots, show off the practices to their clients. That is my quick and dirty explanation of this project. I'm sure you all are going to have some questions. I'm going to end the slideshow and bring myself back onto the screen. There may be questions you ask that I may not be able to answer today, and I will write them down. And I will bring answers back to you. I will communicate them to Aaron, to Caitlin, to Beth, to Bianca. We are still in the we're right on that line between building and launch, and so we're still working behind the scenes on a lot of just the mechanisms that go into a project like this. So I may say I don't have an answer for you today, but I will absolutely get one, and I will communicate it to Aaron and make sure that I can get a response for you. But that's the project in a nutshell. Aaron, I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but if anyone has any questions, comments, if they want to mention something, I would love to engage with you right now.
Yeah, we have some time. So thank you, Joe. That was great. So are there questions for Joe?
Oh, and if I can start with a comment, sorry, but before a question is answered, I have always wanted to go to Geneva, New York, to go to the Drain Tile Museum, which I understand is about an hour away from where you are right now. I've never been to that part of New York before. It's something I want to correct. So when I do get over there eventually through this 5-year project, if anyone has any inside information on the Drain Tile Museum in Geneva, I would welcome any insight on how to approach that, because I think it's such a cool thing. It's so rare. I think it's the only one in the country. So sorry for interrupting the question asking, but I forgot to mention that at the front. If anybody's been to Geneva and been to the Tile Museum, I'd love to hear about it.
Right, we'll see if we have that, but we do have a question.
Hey, thanks very much. This is Emily. I have 2 things. You have to call ahead for an appointment at the Drain Tile Museum, so do that before you go.
Thank you, Emily.
I was just curious, in terms of the early adopter program, it's really encouraging to see that that's basically half the funding. I think that's the way it should be, and I think a lot of folks in the room would agree. I was curious if there's a max on acre enrollment in the way that you were maxing out for the new people, that 160 acres, is there a max for the early adopter at that $25 an acre?
Yep.
And then secondly, how do you enroll in that? I imagine that's going to max out in terms of people, but maybe not.
Emily, there is a max acre. That detail is escaping me at the moment. I will get Aaron that information, and I will send it back to him to get it out to you. Yes, there is a max acre enrollment. You can't just come in and enroll your entire farm in it. But I will find out what that is, and I will let you know. And then how do you enroll? Actually, did I skip over a slide? Hold on, folks. I can't believe this, because it answers your question, Emily. Goodness.
That was a great question then.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how I did this, but there's an extra slide here that, for some reason I had it Oh, whatever. For some reason, it was like crossed out over here. I don't know how I did that. Anyway, yes, Emily, there is a way to enroll in the early adopter program. This is what the next year is looking like. And you might notice down here, this is the study. The early adopter program is going to get launched in summer of 2024. So right now, as of just 12 days ago, we opened up the first time adopter financial assistance program. There is it is an online enrollment portal, and I am not involved in the development of this. And this is something that I don't want to say the wrong thing here, but there is a way, and you do it online. And I will get a more detailed answer for you after this meeting, and I'll get it back to Aaron for you. But yes, there is a way, and that will be launching next summer. I'll look at what's happening here. FA program started this month, so again, we just got into like the launch phase, and then we're working through executing the contracts with our high-profile partners, including AFT. We're so close, guys. It's going to be coming any day now. The conservation agronomist announcement goes out in January, and then the hiring of those agronomists will happen in the spring and the summer of 2024. And then in between that, the project year ends in March because the contract with NRCS was executed in mid-April. So there'll be a chance, and Aaron, I got to talk to you about this. In March, there's going to be an end of year meeting where I'd like anyone from AFT who's involved in this project to come in and give a little, what have you been working on? I realize there's not much to say right now because we're still in the implementation, the launch phase, but that's coming up in March of 24, early adopters summer. The AFT financial assistance program slated for summer. Obviously, we still got some details to work out there. And then the dairy program is also happening in the summer of 24. So a whole lot of activities, a whole lot of information and how-tos will be coming out as we transition from winter to spring and into summer of 2024. And that's when we're really going to hit the ground running. But yes, Emily, there is a way. You do it online. And I will make a note to get the clarity on the max acres enrollment for you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Joe? All right, it looks like you covered everything well. Thank you, Joe.